Hi guys, in this video, I want to share how to overcome low season as a small business because there's there's many times in the year where you could be fully booked, but there are also times where you have to accept that, no guest will come because it's not the right time and they might be doing other things and not buying your products. So you have to find ways to adapt to this. And what I will share with you, my strategies I was applying to overcome low season so that I would not lose too much money and eventually still be able to actually keep the business afloat while waiting for the high season. Because you have no choice. Low season is low season. You have to accept it. But there are things that you are used to do on a yearly basis that you might actually want to change for those specific moments. And this can apply to any sort of business. And the examples I will take will be based on my own hostel experience in Vietnam. But obviously, it's yours to use those advice for your own business wherever you are in the world and whichever activity or industry you are in. All right, so let's get started. There is four things I want to talk about actually. So the first one is going to be about costs and cash flow. You have to understand that if you run the operations as usual, then of course you're going to be spending more while potentially have less guests. So you have to make specific deals with everyone, suppliers, staff, even yourself and your customers for this season, which will be specific to this season. You can, for example, hire seasonal staff. What it means for a hostel was basically to hire people only 6 months in a year and make 6 months contract instead of 1 year contract. This way, when it's low season, you keep only the key and it's called the core team basically. Okay, and even for the core team, you would say it's low season, so you slow or you lower the amount of hours of operation. And it's in the contract. It's something they know from start. Maybe on that period, you can increase the commissions. So like it balance and you keep paying the same salaries, but it's just less risky for you. So those can be deals you can definitely work with. And if it's said upfront, then everybody's happy and they might just accept the conditions. Now, you might also want to close unessential services. So in my case, for example, we had a reception open 24/7. Then during low season, we would close it at certain amount time in the day. So that we would not need to run 24/7. I was even considering before I had to shut down to actually close a few months during the low season. Simply because I didn't want it to deal with adapting to it, and I was just thinking of closing down everything. Um, some countries where I'm from France. Some countries are like that actually. In France, if you go to a resort during the winter time, they might actually be closed because there is no one who wants to go in the sea during winter. So during my low season, what I was doing is I was making a special deal for guests who would stay on the long term. So if they stay long term, they pay monthly, for example, instead of nightly, and you get them a special deal. Of course, they have to pay maybe upfront, so it's helpful for the cash flow, and you need to be careful, of course, to not offer something that you will lose money on. But obviously, it helps you to pay the bills. It helps you to keep the place full of people. And I remember at some point with my low seasons and my guests staying long terms, we could create a community of, 20 long term guests staying and enjoying their time as a long term guest. So obviously, you have to adapt your offer by doing so. And it might create some frictions with what your staff is used to do. And whenever the high season start again, then like this long-term guest might actually not really like the vibe anymore. So you might have to, be very clear on the policies and the guidelines when you do this. But it's super helpful for the 6 whole months of low season that you may have a year. The third thing you want to do is to make partnerships. So I was having partnerships with some companies like travel agencies, with bloggers, with Instagrammers who would simply help me to bring guests on a yearly basis. And that way, if your marketing efforts are not paying off because there is no guests coming, you're still visible online in many different channels, in many different communities around the world, and you have a chance to attract constant flow of guests coming into your place. And the fourth thing is to get group bookings. So if you're a restaurant, if you're a bar, if you are a catering business, if you are a consultant, you want to do group bookings, you want to do group consulting, you want to welcome those big groups, because in one night, 2 nights, 3 nights, 1 week, they will stay. They bring a lot of cash flow, and as a group, they might actually spend more than an individual guest, simply because there is this community vibe that you can create, and you can upsell easily to different services. And for example, if they are looking for a hostel and then they are looking for a tour, then you can be the one recommending that tour company and eventually getting a commission on that recommendation. So it's a great deal. It's something to consider, and you can still offer it maybe only on that season. And so be very clear with the partners that you make to be like, I'm offering group tours, but I'm only accepting them in certain conditions, and so on. So this was very helpful for me. Like, I think 2 or 3 times I had 20 people, and for a week, a group of student doctors, and lawyer students as well. And it was very nice. They were very friendly, and it was super nice to welcome them. All right, guys, I hope it helps to face the low season. And of course, you have to focus on the high season. You have to be very successful during that time, because this is what will bring on the cash flow. This is where you can increase the prices. But obviously, during these moments of downtime, you have to find ways to adapt. And I hope these 4 tips were useful. See you guys, and see you tomorrow for another video.